Welcome everybody to Soul Café. We are here to discuss prayer through the lens of various faiths around the world, and we invite anyone to share comments, ask questions, reactions down below in the comment section, and we'll address them. But I'm Lisi, and I'm going to be sharing about prayer from the Baha'i perspective. We'll go around and introduce ourselves, and then we'll talk about ourselves as unionists as well.
Good evening, everybody. We're glad to be here. My name is Anupama, and I am a practicing Hindu. So I will talk about what prayer has meant to me from the Hindu faith. And I'm glad you all could join us.
Hi, I'm Casey Kelly, and I grew up in a Christian, mainland Protestant side, United Methodist Church, and I'm a pastor's daughter, and so I pretty much grew up with that.
I am Lou. I am born Muslim. Her parents are Muslim, both. So basically, we are talking about prayers. So prayers in Islam, it's very essential and it's very important part in our religion. So I'm glad we're talking about this day.
Cool. So I know that in Islam you have set times of day to pray. Is that true? Is it 5 times?
Yeah, this is the physical prayer, but we have the verbal prayer. We have 2.
Mm-hmm.
We practice 5 prayers a day. If you want to go, if you want me to go, what's the name of it?
Sure.
So in the morning, early morning, at 5 a.m., it's called Fajr, before the sunrise. And after that, at afternoon, called Dhuhr. And mid-afternoon, it's called Asr or Asr in Arabic. And at 7 p.m., we have Maghrib prayer. And the last one, it's called the Isha. It's the last prayer we do. And there's another type of prayer, but it's not mandatory, in the midnight, when everyone is sleeping. So so many people they can do an extra prayer, but those are mainly the 5 ones, in Islam we do. But you can practice more for extra credit.
Okay. What is the spiritual meaning or purpose of having the prayers set throughout the day in Islam? The Baha'is have a one-time daily obligatory prayer. So I'm just curious.
Basically, to be connected to God, to be in that moment, to let go of the world and just now you are in the presence of God. Now you can be with Him, or you can be with be with Him or be with her. Before prayer, we practice something called wudu. We wash our hands and face and feet, clean ourselves before we meeting God.
Mm-hmm.
So, and before we starting the prayer, we make small pray before we start the prayer called dua. Then we start the pray with God, in your room.
Oh, okay.
But men's supposed to do it
purity, kind of.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And men must practice it in a mosque, and female practice it at home. Oh. But they can practice it at mosque, but preferably the best place is home.
Okay. Beautiful. I as a practicing Baha'i for 10 years, our faith, actually the founders of the Baha'i faith were practicing Islam in the same way that Jesus grew up in a Jewish faith. So the Baha'is have a concept of daily obligatory prayer, and the same thing, there's an ablution where you wash your hands and your face, and then you pray once a day, and there's a choice between praying at noon, the short obligatory prayer, or you can choose to pray the long obligatory prayer any time of the day. And then there's like a medium obligatory prayer as well. But yeah, it's like the concept is like what you said, like connection with God, like to remember to connect with God, like throughout your day, because I think the purpose was because, there's a tendency to get distracted. And so the purpose was like to kind of like rope it in, like this is the real meaning of God. And I know that as a unionist, like I learned that I could talk with God any time of day. But I also really appreciated the beauty of having an obligatory prayer like moment where it was like a symbol that I was, getting, like, it was like a place of honor. Like you can appreciate somebody, but then you can honor them on their birthday. And that's kind of like how I saw the obligatory prayers. And I found it was really beautiful. And I have my Baha'i prayer book. If I wanted to share the daily obligatory prayer, if you guys want to hear it. I had it memorized, but I'll share it anyway. It says, I bear witness, O my God, that thou hast created me to know thee and to worship thee. I testify at this moment to my powerlessness and to thy might, to my poverty and to thy wealth. There is no other God but thee, the help in peril, the self-subsisting. Yeah, so to me, when I would first say that prayer, I would just kind of mouth the words and I wasn't really connecting. But then as I started saying it every day, the words kind of soaked into my heart, about realizing where my wealth comes from and realizing that ego, doesn't exist. And as I went deeper as a unionist, like I started to like really unpack that prayer with, my new knowledge, my new spiritual knowledge. And it was really cool to kind of see the Baha'i faith through my own, like my new connection with God, or the true connection with God that I'm feeling now. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, similar as me. Like for now, I'm like literally I'm like 180 degrees. I'm like seeing my religion from different perspectives, and I'm not different perspective as I'm seeing different perspective, but I'm seeing the truth of my religion. I could see the truth of it, and it make a lot of sense for me why I was really truly connected to God, because I'm feeling so good there. I'm feeling so safe in the presence of God. Oh, it's very emotional. Yeah, every time I remember, like when I'm, regardless in ups and downs, I'm just like immediately just go to God, just pray to him. In the same moment when I'm feeling down, I'm feeling happy, I'm just like all praise to God. Everything I know, everything happening to me in my life, it's go back to God. It's from God. And yeah. So yeah, I'm so grateful. Like I'm seeing everything from different perspective and seeing the truth of my religion. Yeah.
That's very cool. The Baha'i scriptures say that prayer is conversation with God. So can you talk with God anytime that you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that out, because that is something that I'm learning now about prayer. That prayer, the way I was taught, or the way I looked at prayer, was just that one-time communication with God in the day or during a special occasion, or when you wanted something, and that was the main thing. Like I grew up abroad, so I didn't have the roots of the Indian and Hindu culture around me all the time, because we lived in a Muslim country. So I used to wake up hearing the call for prayer, and throughout the day, like from the mosque, the azan would sound, and it always felt nice. But we didn't have that kind of practice. In Hinduism, we do light the lamp to God. Most of the households, because I'm from the south, from the state of where Krishna is the main deity, so that he was the main idol for the house, and we light a lamp once in the morning and once at dusk. So kind of say dawn and dusk, and that's the time when we generally offer prayer. But there was no prayer as such that was given to offer. It was more like whatever you want to pray to God. And being a child, like you don't know what to pray, to God. So my remembrance of praying to God was just those few times when I was afraid of something, or I just wanted to kind of check in with God that I hope you're okay with me, that things are going to go okay and you're not going to be upset with me. And please make something work out well so that my parents are not upset with me, things like that, like get good grades, but as I've come into realizing that uh, that is not what prayer is about. And, we can offer prayer anytime, which is sometimes something that I'm learning now. And that it is this communication you have with God. So, and also, like, we used to have like the main prayers, which possibly would be heard, would be the one that you offer at the temples when you're doing a particular, like a ritual, what we call a puja. So I would reserve prayers for those times, like we have when we have festivals on the horizon. And but now I realize that that's not what it is. It's this communication with God, like an open channel to just talk to God, not necessarily when you have something to ask of God, or you have something to complain about, or you want something changed. It's just like a day-to-day communication, like how you would talk to your friend or someone that you're close to. And that's something that I'm really grounding into, because I'm still not in that place. So it makes me kind of emotional to talk about it, because that is what prayer is supposed to be. And in a way that's not always communicated well, to people. So a lot of people don't understand. And that's why when Lou was explaining about the Muslim faith, praying 5 times a day, I used to think that that's too much, like, what do you pray so much? What do you ask God so much that you do it 5 times in every day? Like, but now I understand when Lou, and also when Lou was sharing, this is what I understood too about Islam, that they have that communication. And I think every religion understands that. Like you said, too, Lisi, that in the Baha'i faith too, prayer is about communicating to God. It's not just about praising God and making these offerings, you know, to show your loyalty to God. And that yeah, that's what I wanted to share. And that's where knowing your religion, I feel, comes into the picture. That religion is just, it's like a guidebook in a way of how to live here, and how to live in communion with God. That's what I was feeling into yesterday. Like, what would it be for me, like, to understand when I connect prayer and religion? It's like God sent us here, and He didn't want us to feel helpless or in this new space. And that's why He gave us this entire guidebook, map of how to live here, why you have this body, how does this body work, and how to talk to God anytime I felt anything, so that I'm never feeling alone. Something that we all kind of most of us have in common, this feeling of feeling alone.
Yeah.
That's what prayer transcends. That I'm always here with you. You're never alone.
Beautiful. Amen.
Mm.
I was listening when you were talking about, like, sometimes you mentioned you would pray in the past if you wanted something. And I remember that too. Like, I would pray. I grew up Christian, actually. And then I converted to the Baha'i faith when I was 26. And I even in the Baha'i faith, I would still pray to get something like, oh, please, can I pass this exam? Or, at the time, like, please. What I really wanted was my twin flame, but I really said, like, please, can this man please like me and please help me? And it always felt like I was praying to something like way over there, like somewhere mysterious that I couldn't see, that may or may not see me.
The old man in the sky sitting
Yeah.
there and judging.
Yes.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yes. I totally resonates with that. When I was about to say that, well, first of all, growing up and as a pastor kid at PK, is that it's like the man in the sky, the white blonde beard oversees the whole world. It's like God is way up high in the air. It's up in the sky. And then, of course, thanks to the Twin Flames universe, it shows me that God is within me. And that's why I am able to pray all the time, because I'm like talking to myself within and talking to God within. Well, in the Christian faith, it's like there is right or wrong how to pray. It's like when someone say, "Hey Casey, why don't you pray for us at dinner?" And I'm like, "What? What do I say?" Or other times I will have a script in my head. Okay, dear God, thank you for this food. Amen. As a little kid, I made prayer so short because I was rushing to eat the food. And it's like I did the biggest prayer. It was a big deal in United Methodist at smaller conference. Annual conference time. I prayed in front of 200 people in the audience and live, and years ago, and it was so cool. But
What
it was
did you pray about, or what did you share?
Yes. Well, I pray about like social justice and racism. It's about, well, it was that time frame when the United Methodist Church is trying to deal with racism. So technically, and the Unionists would say, we're dealing with the healing the separation. And another aspect is when I was younger, during confirmation, little fifth grader, confirmation is when you are affirmed to being a Christian. And that confirmation, I had to memorize the Lord's Prayer. And of course, during the prophet discussion, which we did it like Lacey and I did that many weeks ago. I don't know how many weeks ago it was the end of July and some in August. That and the prophet about Jeff's prophet is how heaven on earth as it in heaven. It's like something in preamble talks about how apocalyptic things taken away, so the new world can be begun, and it's heaven on earth. And I was like, that is exactly what we've been saying as a Christian, the Lord's Prayer, and on earth as it is in heaven. And also another thing is what's in the Lord's Prayer is there's an aspect of a sin. Well, different parts of Christianity would say sin is like shaming and guilting us, and we do not want to sin or against one another. Of course, it's important to hold ourselves accountable, but yeah, there's a shame aspect. It's like you don't know what it is, so you say the Lord's Prayer just to make sure it's cleared and out of the way.
Yeah, so it's like moving from actually connecting with God to performing a task.
Yes, that's it.
I see. But it's not the religion or the prayer itself, it's how the individual is approaching it,
Yes.
what's happening there. That's interesting. So how do you feel about connecting with God now through prayer in your
It's
evolution?
it's better.
I'm glad you asked that question, Lisi, because I used to think prayer was complicated. Because in Hinduism, when you go to the temple, it's the priests who offer the prayers. You just listen and close your eyes and fold your hands in the prayer position. And I used to listen to those prayers, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what he's saying, you know? So because they'd be very long and spoken fast, and I used to think, okay, that is what prayer is. So what I am saying is very insignificant, you know, compared to what the pujari is saying and, you know, what he's praying on my behalf for. So, and that is how it's perceived, that's why you go to the temple, to offer those potent prayers to God, so that the miracles then happen in your life, you know, whatever you've prayed for. So we have different pujas for different things. So now my understanding of prayer, like we discussed, is about this constant communication. It needn't be for a special occasion or for a special result. I'm still transcending that. Like you prayed, Lisa, I mean, like you shared, Lisa, or that you prayed before that, please make this work with my twin flame, please make this better. Like that was how my prayers were too. And yeah, still learning. And it's about heaven on earth. Yeah, we were also taught that the concept of the old man in the sky was because that's where heaven is, and not looking down is because that's where hell is. And I don't want to go there. Like if the earth opens up and swallows me, that's definitely me going to hell. You know, whereas if God is there, then I can't even hide from him because he's everywhere. You know, the sky covers the entire earth. So there was that feeling, but now it's realigning to the truth that God is within. And it really makes a lot of sense because I was not studying, but reading about our temple architecture, the broad base of how a temple is designed. And it was interesting to know that most temples, or all of them, especially the big ones, represent the 7 chakras that are within us. The sanctum sanctorum, means where the idol is, most of the time representing, or all the time representing our sacral chakra, you know, the center of creativity, which is what we say God is, which is why we always co-create with God. And it was just blew my mind. I was like, wow, a temple. And it made sense of why we circumambulate, you know, 3 times, like in clockwise direction and not backwards, because that's kind of how apparently our like our chakras also rotate. So there is a scientific reason as to why the temples are built the way they are, why we go around them, and why the sanctum sanctorum is right there, you know, not anywhere else, and what the idol represents, and why we step into the temple in a particular way, step out a particular way. You know, it didn't make sense before, but now it's just adding to. I mean, it's not that it's not that these are rules and regulations, but they just are following the way we are. Now the human body is. So all the more why it's so easy to align now to the fact that God is within, because our temples where we used to go to pray to God and where we beheld the idol is a representation of who I am as a human being, as a child of God. God has made me in that same format. And the temple is depicting that format, how holy it is. It's because we all are that holy, you know, and God is within us, right there. Our core, like if you see our core, is not really, it's somewhere, I had read somewhere, the core is somewhere between the heart and the solar plexus, somewhere the core of our being or something like that. So makes sense as to, you know, why as unionists we strongly believe that God is always within us, not somewhere else, and that's why it's easy to have that wholesome relationship, communication, and everything with God. You don't have to keep it to any time or month or festival.
Yeah. Wow, that was really powerful what you shared about the temples and the symbolism. And I really feel, there's when you were speaking, I realized something that like there's no religion is like has, oh, that's wrong or because I know in the Christian faith you have churches with sometimes the temple or cathedrals with the vaulted ceilings and the cross shape, and there's a purpose for the architecture of buildings. And it's a symbol, like you said. And when you start to really go deep and investigate the spiritual meaning behind things, like the building, the structure of your religion's buildings, and then go deeper into the prayer. So instead of just staying on the outside and looking at this beautiful building, to really truly deepening in the symbolic meaning and seeing how that's actually not separate from you. Same with prayer. Like in the Muslim faith, when you pray the 5 times a day, it's a symbol and a testament to connecting with God throughout the day. And perhaps for certain people in their path of spiritual evolution, they need that concrete prayer time. But perhaps the evolution is meant to be, you start there and then you start to get used to talking with God all day, and then it becomes a conversation, like you're in a constant state of prayer. So that's just what came out for me while you were talking and reflecting on stuff.
I love that you came to that conclusion. Exactly. Yeah.
When you were talking about the temple and the routines of 5 times a day, and I also think about an American Sign Language is that in the prayer we end with Amen. And when I say end, it's like as if on their telephone, okay, bye God. it's like when you go in the temple or the church and you leave the church like, okay, that's it. God is right there and I'm out somewhere. It's like not in a constant communication with God. And the prayer is just like there is beginning and the end conversation, which is why I have that image of on the telephone. Dear God, the Lord's Prayer, and then there's like, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, on earth as in heaven. Amen. What? Yeah.
Really funny. Yeah, I feel that too.
Yeah.
I think Lou wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanna really agree like with what Casey was like saying. Even there's a lot of Muslims, like when they go and pray in the mosque, they just pray, they finished, they just do like after they just like leave the mosque, they do like they are not like the connection just like wasn't there. Just like no, just like like they were like a robot. Just I'm gonna practice it for the sake of practice it because my mom and my dad and the community like want me to do. That's why I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna leave. But in truth, prayers, if someone is really practicing deeply and like being focused, what being said in the prayer, it's really, it's like a moment of cleansing. It's like, yeah, you're connected to God and the same time you're praying, but at the same time, it's like reboot. Like you have like this moment of reboot, restart, and you leave. It's not just leave the prayer. No, the prayer continues after the next prayer, Even when you sleep, you pray the last prayer, like the Isha. Like it stays with you after the midnight, even when you sleep. God's like, this prayer is like gonna protect you till when you wake up. There is an angel to protect you when you sleep. When you wake up, there's an angel who will protect you while you are awake up. So most people, they are not practicing prayers as it ways, and because they are just saying it and not living it, not being in presence of it. because I tried both, to be just in hurry and just do the prayer just because I want to do something else, and to really live it and really be present with it. I saw the difference. I felt the difference. I felt like much better, actually.
Good.
I
Jeff?
love that
Oh,
you have that difference. It really speaks to the volume of how powerful prayer is. And like you said, Lou, like it's different, like when you're just doing it because you have to and doing it because you want to. And as a child, I used to also love going to the temples because at the end, when they finish the prayers, there's all this, the bells are rung and, you know, the main lamp is lit. So there's a lot of, it gives you a lot of, it makes you feel really good. You know? But like you said, like once people step out of the temple, it's almost like, what? Okay, let's get on with life, you know? But I like that you brought that out, that embodying what you just communicated to God. I guess that is what is the essence of prayer, communicating and embodying your connection.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I agree.
yeah. I remember something Jeff and Shaleia said in class. They say it many different ways, but the gist of it is about how, you know, you're having a relationship with God. And, you know, as we're describing the ways that we had approached prayer or connection with God, or other people approach prayer and connection with God, if you think about God as a person, because God is a person, as a personality, it wouldn't feel good to you to have somebody just come in and, oh, hey Anu, how are you? What's up? You having a good day? Okay, all right, bye. Like, it wouldn't feel good to us to be treated that way, the way that we've been treating God. Like, God wants to be with us and have a real relationship with us. God wants to be there when we need something, but also he wants to eat a sandwich with us too. So yeah, I started to really deepen. Like, I don't think I knew how to have a real, like, I've always had God at a distance prior to becoming a unionist, and realizing, like, what many of you shared, is that God is here inside me right now, and I get to connect anytime I want, and I'm always connected. Like, the lie is that I'm not.
Yeah, you're right. And you're so right about relationship with God. I always kept God at arm's length too. I was so scared of God, so scared. I never shared anything with God, and that's what I'm still transcending, because I was so afraid. In my mind, I was already reeling under what I'd been told, that whatever stuff has happened to me is because God is punishing me, or I better be careful in my life because God's going to punish you. God's watching. And so I used to always be on the lookout that, oh my God, where is it going to come from? You know, that I smite you. But so when people said have a relationship with God, I was like, what? How? How do you have a relationship with God? Treat God as your friend. I'm like, what? God can't be my friend. God is God. How can he be my friend? How can he be? And then in when we say God is the, like, you know, the like your ultimate best friend, lover, guide, everything, I'm like, whoa, hold the horses. Like, best friend, lover, guide, teacher, I understand, because, you know, we're getting all these lessons and punishments, but the rest, too hard to digest. But, you know, that's the lie that we've been fed, that God is only this, that you have to be God fearing. Yeah. You must be God fearing. That's how you respect God. And that's how you honor God, by being afraid. And that's really not how God is. You know, and that's why a lot of people, I feel, go away from God. Even I did go away from God for a while, thinking that you're just punishing me. Like, what joy do you get from punishing me so much? But after being here, after listening to Jeff and Shaleia and opening up, I realized that no, that was just a false belief. And that's not what God has ever wanted. And when I actually look at those times when I thought God was punishing me, actually see all the many ways in which God saved me, from something that could have been potentially worse. And I didn't pray for that saving, but I did pray out that, can you please do something? And God always came through. So, prayer, that was also a prayer, maybe said in desperation, but it just shows that, when you communicate to God, God always responds. So you can let go the fear, can let go the boundaries that you have put up, or that you were told you must put up in order to honor God, and really open up your heart to God. That's how you honor God. That's how you honor your Father, your Creator, the one who loves you the most, by opening up, listening, talking, sharing. And that's the most beautiful relationship that you want. You want that relationship. I mean, I always wanted that relationship where I can just be myself. And I was always looking for it in somebody else. Even now, like I said, I'm learning to open up to God. So I've been looking for that. I technically know that, okay, so and so is not my source. God is my source. I know these, but still embodying it, it's still, yeah. So for me now, the definition of prayer is like, altered a bit. It's not just what it used to be. It's now much, much more. And that is what it was meant to be. Like when I read the text, I'm currently reading The Holy Signs by Sri Yukteswar. So it just shows that everywhere God has always communicated to his children through every religion that I'm always here for you. I'm never, ever, ever going to leave you, no matter what you may think or feel about me. I'm just by your side. And that's what it says in every, so it's perfectly fine to open myself up to that truth. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Anu. I really love every time you share, you take us through the upset or the block or the place of separation, and then guide us through your process of how you heal that. It's just really beautiful. So thank you. I just wanted to say hello to Angela and our dear guru Shaleia, who are here with us watching. And if anybody else watching would like to comment, I know this is a new discussion. It's going to happen every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's called Soul Café. We'll have unionists from different faith backgrounds here to talk about a spiritual concept together, and also to talk about it from a unionist perspective as well. And so if you'd like or interested in that, you can reach out to me, BC, or any one of us. We can really connect you with, if you'd like to join the conversation live, but you can come in and comment below and ask a question if you'd like. And we really invite that. We want this to be an exploration and an open dialogue, and free for everyone, and everyone's voice is important. I did want to say what was really interesting to me. It was like kind of piecing together a little bit of what Lou said and Casey said, and then you said, Anu, about how, especially when Lou was talking about going and saying that prayer and kind of resetting. And I thought about, there's different types of prayer. There's a type where you're in a conversation with God throughout the day and really going deeper in that relationship. But then there are moments when you can say or recite or receive a prayer that a manifestation of God or a guru has already put down on paper. And so the unionist prayer, I would like to share that with everyone watching, and then invite you to go to unionism.org if you really resonate with this prayer that can really kind of help to bring your consciousness to the point of union with God, or harmonious union with God, rather. Perfect union in a way. So that we have a Sunday service every Sunday at 12 noon Eastern. And before and after the sermon, the minister will always say the opening prayer and the closing prayer, and then open and close with some alms. So the opening prayer says, I am the only child of God, forever part of Him. I am created by Him in perfection, and there I always remain. My mind is my sanctuary where I keep His holy creation sacred. I will only allow in His voice. I will only accept His word. Today, I will hear the word of God. I surrender myself to His teachings through His divine channel. I will honor what He has spoken and accept it as His will. I will be obedient to His word, for this is my salvation. In Christ's name, Amen. So that was the opening prayer. I'm wondering what we all received from that here in this dialogue.
I'm very happy you brought that up, because I wanted to mention that also, that and to tell Shaleia, because she's joined us, that we're so great. I'm so grateful, that you've created this space for us to really understand God and transcend all our old beliefs. And the unionist prayer does that, showing us who we are to God, and why we can now let go of all our old images of ourselves and really receive God and understand that we are the one child. We're not separate. That's what unionism is about. We are one. Even if we look different, even if our backgrounds are different, we're all the one child of God. And I'm very grateful for that teaching, that message. So thank you very much, Shaleia, for that.
Thank you very much.
It's so much better than the Lord's Prayer, by the way, because it talks about commitment, especially with that line on surrendering to His teaching. There's no shame nor guilting or any of it. It's just commitment. It's like saying a vows. And it's just like it's important to have recitation and script, is because all of us as one collective can say the same prayer. How awesome is that?
When you start saying the prayer, Lisi, I literally I just felt there is a shift. Like I felt like that reset happened to me. I felt more calm, more at peace when I heard the prayer. It's the same effect that I have when I recite any type of, like when prayer, like the 5 prayers, when I physically do it, or like say the ayahs in the Quran, the holy book in Islam. Like I have that same sense, the same feeling of being reset, being at peace, being centered with God. And yeah, very emotional. So yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's just feeling that as well. Like I feel that every time the prayer comes, and I choose to connect with God through those words, I can do what we've talked about, and I can glaze over them and pay attention, put my awareness on something else while the prayer is going on. That doesn't feel good. It feels really good to like receive the prayer, and this is really interesting, because the topic of prayer kind of we're talking about many different points of union, like the need for a guru, right? Like this prayer was given to us by our gurus, and it's bringing us into that consciousness each time we say it. And then we talked about like the structure of religious places. That's another really juicy topic we could talk about. But I just feel really light and open, and it feels like God was talking to me through those words, not just me talking with Him.
I love that you brought that up, Lisi, that when we gloss over a prayer as it's being said and do something else, it doesn't feel good. It feels good to stop and pay attention. If you look at it, that's kind of what we do when a national anthem is played, you know. And maybe it's time to do that when a prayer is being recited. You know, not just gloss over that, oh, it's just a prayer. It is a communication, and maybe it's a common prayer, but every prayer is powerful. So I love that both you and Lou brought out that, you know, paying attention to the prayer going out is as important as what you're saying or what you're listening to. And yes, our gurus have brought it out. So it's even more powerful because they have channeled this prayer and written it out and presented it to us to communicate with God, showing us. So prayer is honoring God. So honor by giving your full attention when you say the prayer as a prayer. And when you're communicating, also communicate 100%. Listen. Thank you for sharing that, both of you.
We have a comment from Alexandra. Hi, Alexandra. She writes, the prayer is so soothing. She's referring to the opening prayer. I feel like every word, every sentence has so much purpose. I could meditate on just one sentence and I would receive endless riches. That is so true. Like whenever we're given divinely channeled things, you know, especially with Jeff and Shalea's work, like whether it's written down or in their recorded classes. It's funny because I'm like reminded of the back of the book, Twin Flames Fighting Your Ultimate Lover. Jeff and Shaleia write, you'll find yourself reading this book again and again, loving it every time, and still finding new layers to the wisdom which you can apply to increase the blessings in your life. And I feel like that's true about the prayers as well. Thank you for sharing that, Alexandra.
I just want to add this, now, like after healing a lot and joining Church of Union, and how I see and how I recite and how I say and how I practice the prayer, I start feeling and I start noticing the difference of it. As before, because I've been said that I have to practice it for the sake of practice it, that's it. Because of God, that's it. Like there is no feeling, just the practical things I have to do. And I did it in some way. I had like that some off moment because I know when I was a child, I know there's a God. But when I started growing up, because at age 7, we've been told that we are starting to practice prayer, the physical one. We've been taught how to do it. After I've been taught how to do it, it's been start being a lot of practicality, I don't know if the word, and there is no emotion to it. There is no feeling to it. So I'm just like doing like a robot doing things, but I know in my heart there is something is off all the time, but I didn't know what is the off thing. And I'm just keep doing it as anyone like telling me, and I'm not like what I've been taught. Mostly my mom, because she's the one who's very religious, is wrong, but she put me in that road so I can know there's God, where this is where God you can find God there. But I was like trying to blame my mom for not taught me the right thing, but actually she taught me, but not the whole thing. She did her part, like how her parents did. She gave it to us. And now when I grow up and I let go all of these things, all the blame and all of this mentality, I could see and I could feel like nothing what I was being taught was wrong, actually was right. And now I'm seeing the truth of it. And actually everything that I did and everything I've been taught was on my side. Nothing was very harmful for me. And now when I start reciting and saying the prayers or practicing it, it's so much different. Not the same at all. Every time, even when I'm reading the holy book, the Quran, the way I'm seeing the ayahs, the verses, is so different. Not the same as every time I open it. So yeah, I just want to share that.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I feel a stronger connection with my background from being a unionist too. Like it really, Jeff and Shaleia and unionism has really opened my heart to a deeper relationship with God, and that's all that I ever really wanted. Like that's all my heart was desiring anyway. So I'm so grateful, and I want to say thank you also. So I know we're nearing the end of our time. Would any of our panelists like to share anything else? And also, I'll check comments and see if anyone else wants to share.
I just wanted to thank you for sharing that, because you're right. Like whatever we were taught was what was available to us. So there is no need to blame or ourselves or anyone, our parents, and that, or whoever taught us about religion or prayer, because that's what we're transcending our relationship with God and our relationship with what we knew versus what is the truth. So I love that you brought that up, and also how it's very different now. I understand what you mean, because I had a lot of resistance to reading our holy text, but now I'm understanding it at a different level. So it's very nice. So thank you all very much for this discussion today. It's been very healing, very revealing, very grounding also.
Another thing I noticed is Amen versus Amen. There's a different feel. Feels like it's just breathing, and Amen doesn't sound like it ends like it's saying by God. Amen is just a nice ending of writing a letter on the piece of paper.
Actually, they're both the primordial sound, the sound where all creation begins. So that's why you feel it's Om and Amen, or the sound of God. Which is how we end any ritual with an Om or an Amen. Do we have any comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone who's joined us in the forum. And thank you to my fellow members here for coming in and sharing everything today. I've really learned a lot and healed through a lot listening to all of you.
I agree.
Same. I'm actually really looking forward to our next dialogue. Lots and lots of juicy topic ideas. And I hope others get to watch this. And please, if you want to talk about something to come to, deeper understanding, please let us know.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.